Hello aspirants, looking at current affairs for 16th Feb. The news items that we have picked up from the Hindu newspaper are these 16. We'll look at them in detail. The first one, ISRO launches 104 satellites in one go, creates history. So this is regarding the PSLV C-37 spacecraft, which has successfully launched 104 satellites. So this is a world record, maximum satellites launched with one spacecraft. So this last ISRO had launched 20 satellites. That was in June 2016, and now it has launched 104 satellites successfully. So we'll see the details of this too. The last record was held by Russia. It had launched 37 satellites in 2014. NASA's maximum satellites launched are only 29. So that is the world record which we have created too. And out of these 104 satellites, only 3 satellites were Indian, remaining were of foreign origin, foreign countries. So maximum out of those were also of USA, the Dove satellites, which we have discussed earlier too. We'll see right now too. So the maximum, the major payload in this 1378 kg payload, means all 104 satellites, total weight was this much. The primary satellite, the main satellite launched was 1114 kg Indian satellite, Cartosat. So this is in the Cartosat 2 series satellite which was launched. So cartography means related to mapping. So this is cartography satellite. So it is used basically for mapping. So this has been launched on PSLV, Polar Satellite Launch Vehicle. So PSLV C-37 was used for this. It launched from Satish Dhawan Space Center in Sriharikota. So this has been the 38th successful mission of PSLV. So PSLV has had 39 flights since 1993, and out of these 38 have been successful. So apart from the 38 successful in a row, means apart from the first one, we have had all successful missions. So PSLV is the one which is used for even launching foreign satellites. So here Indian satellites launch vehicles are cheaper and providing efficiency too. So even US, you can see US organizations also use Indian satellite to launch their vehicles, launch their satellites. Then this PSLV was also used for moon mission. Chandrayaan-1 was also launched through PSLV in 2008. Also presently we are planning to launch a satellite to the moon, a lunar moon mission, which is Team Indus. So this Team Indus is a Bangalore based startup which is participating in Google X Lunar Prize competition which is being held. So in this it has to launch a lunar mission. We have discussed Team Indus also earlier. So in December 2017, by the end of this year, this launch will also take place by ISRO. So it has contacted ISRO for its launch. It is developing its own satellite. So this is the lunar mission which will be launched to by PSLV. So PSLV will only be used for this. Then this is regarding the present launch. So you can see PSLV C-37, the height at which the satellites were put in orbit was at around 505 km. So here you can see how the satellite moves about. So what is this Polar Satellite Launch Vehicle and how it moves about? We'll discuss that too. So this you can see the liftoff took place, and then it, airlift strap on separate, means the satellite goes higher and higher. Second stage comes up, third stage ignition takes place, and then the separation takes place, and then the Cartosat is put in orbit, and the other nano satellites also were all put in orbit. The major payload here, apart from Cartosat 2, was Dove. The Dove satellites, these are nano satellites of USA. So there were 88 Dove satellites of Planet Inc. which were launched, and 8 Lemur satellites again of a US organization, Spire Goal, US based organization. So these Planet Doves, there'll be 88 satellites launched, you can see. So what is this Planet Dove also, you can see here. So this is said to be providing a unique data stream. So continuous line scanner will take place of the entire planet scanning, and data would be provided. So this can be used by various industries as such. So this you can see, this is the radio antenna. Satellite communication takes place through this on Dove. The sensors are there, and power is through solar panels which are wrapped up on it, and they will open up by the spring when it is put in orbit. So it will be powered by solar energy. So this is the satellite, Dove series satellite, and other satellites are from Netherlands, Switzerland, Kazakhstan, and UAE. So these are the other satellites which have been launched. Then what is this PSLV? So Polar Satellite Launch Vehicle places satellites in a sun synchronous orbit. So what is this sun synchronous orbit? You should understand. So this is the sun and earth is So polar is across the pole. So GSLV satellites and PSLV. So these are the two launch vehicles of ISRO. So polar means going across the poles, and GSLV is across the along the equator. So the orbital plane is along the equator, and here the orbital plane is along the polar, along these poles. You can see here. So now sun synchronous means the inclination of the satellite with respect to the sun will always be the same. So as Earth moves around the sun, this satellite will have the same inclination. So you can see the sun rays, you can see this angle. This angle shown here will always be the same. So that is called sun synchronous orbit. So of course the satellite is going around in this orbit. So this is how it remains sun synchronous. The altitude of these satellites at which they are launched is at a height of about 700 to 900 kilometers. And the one orbit is completed in around 90 minutes. So this in one orbit, going around in one orbit, in these 90 minutes, PSLV also launched all these satellites. It put all the satellites within this orbit. So with every movement, its inclination changes. To maintain this angle, it keeps on changing its inclination. So that at another inclination, and again it can put satellites in orbit. That's how it could be able to put all these satellites in orbits, ensuring they do not clash. They do not clash with each other. The orbitals should remain separate. So that is how it maintains it, because it keeps changing its inclination as well. So this is the sun synchronous satellite. And also the angle which you see here is much more, because it is almost in line with the poles. So you can see angle is to the equator is quite wide. It's near the poles and it rotates in that angle. So it keeps on rotating here, and the revolution, of course, it's completing one orbital revolution. You can see it's 90 to 100 minutes, means in 1.5 hours. It orbits every 1.5 hours. It completes one orbit. So in one, and the Earth you can see, so across along the pole, the polar, its Earth is rotating. So in 24 hours, Earth completes one rotation, and this polar satellite, which is there on top here, then it is able to see the whole Earth in that time. It can provide much more information during the daylight time. So when sun's rays are on that region, it is able to provide a lot of details, and it is used for remote sensing. So remote sensing means from a remote location, from on top. It's actually around 500 kilometers, which present PSLV orbit was also on. So from this location, it is able to sense, means capture images, and send it back to Earth. So that is called remote sensing, and it is used for mapping functions, for detection of natural resources and variations which take place over a period of time. So these are remote sensing data which is provided through these satellites, and Cartosat satellite is also for this purpose only. So that's how it is, means satellite on top and Earth rotating under it, giving all the details. Then this is regarding the Cartosat 2. This was the previous launch. This was launched earlier. This was a 700 kilogram Cartosat 2C. So what the information, so present Cartosat is also in line with the same series, almost the same as this Cartosat 2C. So it is providing, see, you can see color images can be provided, black and white pictures can be provided, resolution is 60 centimeter. So you can see. So it provides pictures in the visible range of electromagnetic spectrum. So it is called the Indian eye in the sky, right? And it is used for military requirements as well. So military purposes can also be resolved. LIS, Land Information System, Geographic Information System. So all these mapping details can provide these information. Then the next news item is Constitution Bench to hear Delhi Court Center turf dispute. So this is a dispute between the Delhi government, elected government in power, and the central government, who is represented in Delhi through its lieutenant governor, whom it appoints. So the lieutenant governor, can he unilaterally administer Delhi, or is he bound by the aid and advice of the elected government or not? This is the question which the AAP government is posing. So this has been referred to the Supreme Court. So Supreme Court had seen special leave petitions filed by the Delhi government. There were 7 SLPs filed by Delhi government challenging Delhi High Court's order. So this was August 2016 order of Delhi High Court, in which it said that the lieutenant governor has absolute powers over police, land, public order, and all services as such. So the powers of a lieutenant governor, how far do they can they be, is the question which has been put forth before the Supreme Court, and Supreme Court says this is a larger constitutional question involved, so this will be looked into by a constitutional bench. So a constitutional bench would be formed. It has been referred to them. Now, how big this constitutional bench would be is another question, because a 9-judge bench of the Supreme Court in 1996 had recognized Delhi as a union territory for taxation purposes. So as a union territory, it does not have any powers as such. The central government will only, administer it. So that was there. So now this will be referred to a larger bench, and the question which Delhi government is saying, the primary question is whether the dispute between AAP and center is a federal dispute coming under Article 131 of the Constitution or not. So center state disputes have original jurisdiction is there of the Supreme Court. The only Supreme Court can look into center state disputes. The Delhi High Court gave this judgment in August 2016 saying that this is not a center state dispute. So this is also a question which our government is asking. So if it is a center state dispute, then only Supreme Court can look into the matter. This judgment of Delhi High Court has no significance then. So this is also a question posed. So we'll see how large a bench is put forth and what will be the adjudication done in this matter. So that is there. Also, the representatives of Delhi government, they have said, this is the senior advocate Gopal Subramaniam, he has said that the petitions are not seeking full statehood for Delhi. That is not the objective. We are only asking for more freedom for an elected government to administer and govern a national capital. So when there's an elected government, what are their powers? If everything will be centrally administered and the governor will decide, then what are the powers of the elected government? What is the idea behind having elections then? So that is the question put forth. So we'll hear more about it. This is an important issue. The next news item is Cabinet nod for SBI merger with 5 banks. So merger of State Bank of India with 5 of its associate banks have been finally approved by the Cabinet. Already this proposal was announced in May 2016 and it is scheduled to take place in March 2017. But they had put forth this suggestion of merger before these associate banks, and their respective banks have to give their suggestions, and post this now this approval has finally been given by the Cabinet for the merger. So taking into consideration all those suggestions. So benefits of this would be there will be savings, recurring savings because of all being merged. Even operational efficiency would increase and also the cost of funds would reduce. So they will have to, in operation also for various purposes, each bank has to do their own, costs have to be incurred. So now since it is a merger, operational efficiency would of course come in. So that would also be the benefit. And also SBI says that existing customers of the subsidiary banks will get the benefit of SBI's global network. So this is the merger of SBI. So these banks have already, you can see previous mergers have also taken place in 2008 and 2010. These are going to be merged. These 5 are going to be merged now. So the assets of the merged entity would also be huge, you can see. So there will be some opposition from employee unions, which is expected, but we'll have to wait and watch how that is also taken into consideration. Also, the newly created Bharatiya Mahila Bank was also planned to be merged with SBI. So that will also take place. Then the next news item is clouds over Maharashtra will have a silver iodide lining. So this is the plan which will be put into effect in monsoon 2017. So what will happen is that aeroplanes would be flown over the clouds. They will hover over the clouds in Solapur during monsoon 2017 and they will spray the silver iodide on these clouds, which will act as seeds for the water vapor to accumulate around them and form larger droplets. So this will help in better rains. So that is what the experiment is all about. This technique has already been used in China successfully. It helped in the 2008 Olympics also to make these water vapors veer away from the venue of these Summer Olympics of 2008 in China, in Beijing. So they had the clouds formed elsewhere and the rains taking place there. So using this cloud seeding technique, they were able to accomplish this. And also in areas where rainfall is required, cloud seeding is done so that rains do take place. Also, this is an effective way to control air pollution because with the rains, all the pollutants in the air also come down and settle. So that is the experiment which will be undertaken. It was actually thought to be undertaken in monsoon 2016, but since it was better than expected, the plan got shifted to next year. So now again it will be done this year. So this is Maharashtra government's plan that over Solapur, which is a drought-prone region in Vidarbha this region in Maharashtra, drought prone district. So this you can see what will be done is scientists will fly 2 aircrafts and spray dry ice and silver iodide on 100 clouds and compare them with 100 unseeded clouds. And the ground radars will track the cloud and verify which ones have contributed to more rain, and this will then decide whether the experiment has been successful or not. So this is part of the larger experiment by Earth Science Ministry too, to understand how clouds and aerosols interact and influence climate. So this is how it works. Silver iodide released in the atmosphere. So this will act as seeds for particles, which will act as base for water vapors to settle on them. So that is how the larger vapor droplets are formed and rainfall occurs. Then the next news item is DMRC to bring in world's first transit rating system. So this is Delhi Metro Rail Corporation. So Delhi Metro Rail Corporation has signed an agreement with these USGBC, that is US Green Building Council, and Green Business Certification. They will together announce the LEED. LEED is Leadership in Energy and Environmental Design. So they will announce this certification is given by LEED. So these certification for transit rating system. So it will be a rating system certification for transits exclusively for metro networks. So Delhi Metro Rail Corporation is going to have this experimentation done, and this metro rating system, how can it be evolved, will be decided. So there will be 5 categories on the task, based on which task performance will be calculated and the transit rating system will be developed. That is energy, water, waste, transportation, and human experience. So that is how efficiently energy is used, how water is efficiently used, waste generation, how it is effectively handled, transportation, how is it taking place, and the human experience as well. So then this certification system would be developed under LEED. So this is LEED is an international certification which provides a framework to building owners and operators for identifying and implementing practical green building solutions. So even Delhi Metro Rail Corporation is seeking this LEED certification for its Metro Bhavan as well. So this will be the first building in the country to achieve a certification by LEED. So this is how it will be established. The first transit rating system would be established. So the next news item is Supreme Court refuses to defer SYL case hearing. So this is Satluj Yamuna Link Canal dispute. So we have discussed this earlier too quite often. A brief we'll see here also. So Punjab government is requesting posting the hearing for the Satluj Yamuna Link Canal after the assembly polls results are announced on March 11, and Supreme Court has reacted sharply on this and has rejected this demand by Punjab. So we had seen earlier too that the Supreme Court had accepted such a demand by the central government. So Punjab government also took such an initiative, which saw sharp reaction from the Supreme Court now. So if you remember, central government had asked the Supreme Court to delay the judgment and it had accepted this. And the experts said this is the first time in the history of the judicial system in India that a case has been allowed to be, the judgment to come later. Otherwise, judgment to become earlier, there are petitions filed for that purpose, requests put forth for that purpose. But for delaying a judgment, that was first time, and that was at the time of Jallikattu. The central government told the Supreme Court that since the Jallikattu issue is resulting in flaring emotions, the central government and state government are trying to find a solution to it. So the Jallikattu judgment, which the Supreme Court is going to give on the central government notification, that should be delayed. And the Supreme Court accepted. And after that, they said that the amendment is coming from Tamil Nadu government, so we don't need to have this notification anymore exempting Jallikattu. State government is modifying the act to exempt Jallikattu. So now that state government act will come again afresh before the Supreme Court and pass judgment, and central government said since this state government amendment has come, so we don't need that central government notification exempting Jallikattu, we are withdrawing it. So this is all the way it was handled, and Jallikattu was allowed for the time being. So that's what happened that time. So this time when Punjab government asked you delay the judgment till the assembly poll results are announced, Supreme Court reacted sharply and said that Punjab government has to implement the ruling of the Supreme Court. So it has been flouting the ruling of the Supreme Court for so long, and earlier also Supreme Court had said that you have to implement the ruling. So in state of interstate water disputes, we are seeing that state governments do not accept the Supreme Court's orders as well, and they don't go following it. Even in case of Kaveri water dispute, we saw that Karnataka was not ready to release water. It was flouting Supreme Court's order. So again, here also similar case is going on interstate water dispute only. So this Satluj Yamuna link canal is basically, you can see here. This is Punjab, Haryana, the common capital Chandigarh. So this is the Satluj river flowing here, Yamuna river flowing down here. So this is the Yamuna canal which has been developed. And this is the Satluj Yamuna link canal which is proposed, and this which has been developed, and this part actually has been completed. You can see this line. So the Haryana side's part of Satluj Yamuna link canal has been completed, and this Punjab side of Satluj Yamuna link canal, this here the land has been acquired from farmers, but the construction work has not begun. So land has already been acquired, but no action has taken place on that. Even Punjab government recently, the assembly passed a bill which said that this land has to be returned back to the farmers. Means they are now adamant they don't want to go ahead with this plan. So this was planned when Punjab and Haryana was formed as separate states. So at that time it was decided, since Haryana would be water deficient then, so this link canal was proposed. So after that, a formal agreement was also signed between the two states later that they would go ahead with this Satluj Yamuna link canal. And now Punjab government is going against that agreement also, and is not ready to start work on this canal. So you can see here. So in 2002, you can see since 2002 what has happened, we'll see. So Supreme Court directed Punjab to complete the construction of the canal in 1 year. Punjab filed a review plea in Supreme Court, but it was dismissed. Haryana moved to Supreme Court, and Punjab filed a case seeking dissolution of its obligation to construct the canal. Supreme Court dismissed this petition also. And then finally in 2004, Punjab framed a law saying that we are discharged of all the obligations to share water with this riparian beneficiary state, Haryana. So that was an act passed saying that no longer we have any obligation. So that time President was APJ Abdul Kalam. So he referred this matter to the Supreme Court for an opinion. So that was a 2004 presidential reference. So president can also refer matters to seek the Supreme Court's opinion. And in that presidential reference, the judgment came quite late. It was in November 2016 that the judgment came, and it said that Punjab law that terminated SYL agreement is unconstitutional. Means Punjab has the obligations. So Punjab then again said that this again is not ready to implement. After this November 2016 ruling also, it has not implemented. And in between, in March 2016, Punjab has passed another law which I was talking of, that transfer of land which has been acquired should be transferred back. So Haryana filed a case for suspending this act also. And the Supreme Court had ordered status quo should be maintained by the parties on the land meant for SYL canal, that cannot be returned. So this is the status, and Punjab is not ready to initiate work, not ready to fulfill its obligations. So that is the whole case, and Supreme Court is going to give a ruling on this also. Status quo has been maintained, but a ruling will be given on this. Status quo means jaisa hai waisa. As it is, let it stay as it is. If land has been acquired, it should not be returned back to farmers. Let it stay as it is. So till the final judgment comes. So final judgment is bound to come, and Punjab government is saying that it should be delayed because assembly elections are going on. It would affect the why is the state government flaring up all these issues? Because if you look at the larger picture, you can have resolutions. But if you look at only one state's interest, the state government looks at only at its state's interest, then there'll be states fighting with each other. So there'll be no resolution coming forth. And why do states look into only one state's perspective? Because the state assembly elections and the political parties have their stake only in that state. So these are regional parties. So that is the reason why all this issue arises. So let's see what happens further. The Supreme Court judgment would come. The next news item is Bajaj panel fails to make headway. So this is another interstate water dispute. Now this is water dispute on Krishna River. And this is a dispute between two states, the newly created states. Bifurcation had taken place of Andhra Pradesh, and Telangana and Andhra Pradesh, two new states were formed. Now Krishna water dispute is old. The states, the riparian states which lie in the Krishna water basin are not just Andhra Pradesh and Telangana, but other two are Maharashtra and Karnataka. So this was the Bachava Tribunal which gave its ruling in 1976, and the allocation of water amongst these three states was done because that time Telangana was not there. Then it had said that another ruling can come forth after some time, and that was in 2004, around that time, that a new tribunal, second tribunal was established to review the ruling of the first tribunal. After a span of time there may be changes, variations, so taking into consideration all that. So second Krishna Water Dispute Tribunal was formed, Rajesh Kumar Tribunal, which gave its provisional award in 2010 and the final award in 2014. So according to that, again allocation was done, and then later Andhra Pradesh and Telangana bifurcated, and Telangana was formed as a separate state. So when the separate state was formed, then how will the water allocation take place? So the two states here were demanding that complete reallocation should be seen amongst all four states. But then these two states were on the view that only Andhra Pradesh share which is there, this should be divided amongst the two. Why there is a whole review required? Because this is also a long and tedious process. So that was decided that amongst Andhra Pradesh and Telangana, division would be decided of this allocated water to the undivided Andhra Pradesh. So this based on Bachawa Tribunal Award now, not Bachawa, Brajesh Kumar Tribunal Award now, this will be done. So for this a committee has been set up by the central government, and this is the committee headed by A.K. Bajaj. So he's a former chairman of Central Water Commission. He toured Telangana and Andhra Pradesh for the last 3 days to study this dispute between the two states on the utilization of Krishna River. But it was convinced that issue cannot be easily resolved. Each state, the data has been provided by them, their points of view taken into consideration. So now they'll study the matter, look into the issue in detail and come back next month. So that has been decided. It said that if two states look beyond their issues and try to cooperate, then the issue can be resolved. But if each state decides to stick to their points only, then there will be no solution coming forth. So that is why it said that issue is not easy to be resolved. This was the statement of the committee chairman A.K. Bajaj. So you can see the central government wanted this committee should suggest a mechanism for making the Krishna River Management Board discharge its duties as per the States Reorganization Act. So that was the objective, that how the discharge of these duties by Krishna River Management Board should be done. But what these states are demanding is that Godavari water is also diverted to Krishna Basin. So this is being done by Karnataka, by Andhra Pradesh also, and by Telangana also. And Andhra Pradesh is taking up this huge project, Pattisima project, in which this Pattisima project is majorly, it's like linking Godavari and Krishna River. So that huge diversion project which has been undertaken. So Telangana is demanding that this compensation also has to be taken into consideration. This has to be, interstate basin transfer which is there is to be taken into consideration. But then this committee says that this is not within our domain. For this, the Water Dispute Tribunal can only decide about how water allocation should be done, taking into consideration this diversion, compensating for this diversion as well. So this demand again has not been taken into consideration, because that Godavari water is also coming into Krishna water. So how that should be taken into consideration, how the calculations should be, has to be decided. So that is there. This is regarding the project. You can see the Pattisima project which Andhra Pradesh government is undertaking. This is the Krishna River and Godavari River. So this will be the Polavaram canal which will be developed linking these two. So this is being undertaken, Pattisima lift irrigation project. So this links Krishna and Godavari. The canal is 174 km long, you can see, and it's under the revised National River Interlinking Project. So this is also said to be have completed at a quick pace, unlike other projects which are undertaken. So that's why it is known for that also. Then the next news item is can't advance Rafale deliveries, Dassault. So this is Dassault Aviation CEO who is saying that the Indian Defense Minister Manohar Parrikar had requested Dassault that the delivery of the Rafale fighter jets should be quickened. It has been scheduled to deliver between 2019 and 2022, but we want it earlier. But the Dassault Aviation statement says that it is not possible as the jets have to be customized to Indian requirements. So it will take time. And also it's another point was regarding technology transfer. So Rafale CEO said that technology transfer cannot be taken place with only 36 jets which have been ordered. We need a much larger number so that technology transfer can also be effectively put in. So then it will result in better technology transfer under Make in India. So but in the Defense Minister Manohar Parrikar had clearly stated earlier too that India does not intend to order any more Rafales. And Rafales, you should know, had won the order under MMRCA. That is medium multi-role combat aircraft. So that order was won by it. We'll see that also. But then that did not finally fructify, and we had to buy. Direct government to government transfer took place, and 36 jets were ordered from Dassault. Now even the Indian Navy has initiated tender for 57 carrier-based aircraft. So carrier is, we have discussed this earlier, you should remember, regarding Tejas also. That Tejas is not fit for this because it's not carrier-based. It cannot fly from a carrier. So Navy has these large ships which carry aircrafts, and they can take off and land from that. So for this carrier-based aircrafts are needed by the Navy, and 57 such carrier-based aircrafts are needed, for which the tender has been issued, and the Dassault will also bid for this tender. So that also it has said that we'll bid for this tender. It says Rafale is the only aircraft which has both land-based and maritime variants. So that is a claim being made by them. So here you can see. So for the MMRCA bidding, it was MMRCA project. We had the requirement because MiG-21s had become obsolete, so we needed new aircrafts, and for this Rafale was selected. There were 5 other fighters who were shortlisted, but finally Rafale was selected. So this competition began in 2007, and final negotiations with Rafale after it was selected resulted in a deadlock because Dassault refused to take full responsibility for all the 108 fighters which were demanded. First 18 would be inducted directly, and then 108 fighters with Make in India being part of it, and also HAL will be will be the authority to which the technology transfer would take place. So that was there, but then the costs also later it increased the cost, and it resulted in a deadlock, which resulted in this deal that do not seen through. The government went for a government to government deal. So this was a strategic decision taken. 36 Rafales were ordered through a government to government deal with France. So this was the case. So now MMRCA project was scrapped, and further acquisition of Rafales will also not take place, has been clarified by the defense minister. This is there. Then these were the MMRCA contenders too, in which Dassault finally won. So this you can see the manufacturers: Eurofighter, Typhoon is the model, MiG-35 from Russia, then Boeing USA, 2 were there, Boeing and Lockheed Martin fighters, and Saab Gripen. So this is from Sweden. This has also been aggressively bidding for its fighter jet. Then the next news item is regarding Sweden only, Gripen fighter jet. So the government for this Navy tender also, the government defense minister has said that foreign companies competing for these deals under Make in India should get clearances from their respective government to set up manufacturing facilities in India. So Sweden has said we have also got initial clearance from USA. So Sweden of course, but from USA because this Gripen fighter has American engines. So that is why they say that initial clearance from USA has also been taken, so there would be no difficulty. They are ready for Make in India as well. So then the next news item is bill seeks to curb extravagant weddings. So this is a private member's bill, the Marriage Compulsory Registration and Prevention of Wasteful Expenditure Bill of 2016. So this bill is seeking to put a limit on the number of guests that can be invited in weddings and the dishes that can be served. So this is a new bill which has been introduced as a private member's bill. So it says, what is a private member's bill? We'll discuss. It says that if any family intends to spend more than 5 lakh towards expenditure on the marriage, such families have to declare such an amount proposed to be spent in advance to the appropriate government and contribute 10% of such amount in the welfare fund which shall be established by the appropriate government to assist the poor and BPL families for marriages of their daughters. So this is a bill proposed. So under this also all marriages should be registered within 60 days of the solemnization. So this will also be a provision under it. So this a little verges on the aspect of civil laws being different for various religions, because marriages are registered by them. There is no compulsion of marriages being registered by the government till date. So this will be a step towards that too. So we'll have to wait and watch what happens in this, that whether marriages should be compulsory registered with the government should also be a provision, because this was something like this was there in South Africa, if you remember a little history, where the apartheid government of South Africa, against which Mahatma Gandhi was leading a satyagraha. So this was also a grievance, that they said if marriages are registered by them, then only they'll recognize. Means marriages by Hindu rites and rituals will not be recognized as marriages. So that was considered as an insult to their wives. by the people who were residing there, ex-indentured laborers. So this marriage's registration may also take place, which is a step in the right direction. There is no harm in registration of marriages being taken place on the government's side. But let's see how is it taken by the population. And also the another aspect is that this is a private members bill. Now what is a private members bill is bills are introduced as government bill or private member bill. Private member is a member of parliament but not belonging to the ruling government party. Otherwise, if the government is proposing the bill, then it is called a government bill. So that's the difference. So private member bill means it should get, to get it passed in the Lok Sabha means government should also be supporting to some extent. Members from that political party means MPs from there should also support. Otherwise, it will not be able to reach the 50% mark. So that is there. Of course, it is a simple majority and depends on the members present and voting. So that is the case, where there have been very few private member bills in the history of Indian polity as such, which have seen the light of the day. Then the next news item is India says delegation from Taiwan is non-political. So this is a delegation from Taiwan which is visiting on a visit to India, and it has raised the point that Taiwan's independence is an international reality, that Taiwan should gain independence. So this statement being made, China has filed a diplomatic protest to India after the delegation raised this argument, because even this BJP leader had honored this delegation, or dinner was hosted as such, but the government's representative, the Minister of External Affairs spokesperson, Mr. Vikas Swarup, he says that such delegations do visit from Taiwan visit India, they visit China as well. So they have such meetings takes place for various purposes. They may be coming for tourist places, for religious purposes, for business. So thus this is nothing have to do with the government as such. So there should be no concern as such. This was a private statement being made with government having no say in it. So that is the India's response to China on this, that there was nothing political in the ongoing visit of the delegation from Taiwan. So Taiwan issue, you should know, this is, they say again, China believes in one China policy. So Taiwan is part of China. So what is this? We'll see. Taiwan, you can see, is a small island here. So during the, before this, during World War II, after that it became free. When Japan, actually the World War II ended. So Japan was occupying Taiwan for long. When Japan then finally fled, then it came under the China government. So Chinese government had control over this, but then government in China was the government which was against the communists as well. So that was the former government of China. When communist revolution took place, people's revolution took place, and Chinese government was formed, the communist government was formed, the previous government which was there in power in China fled and entered into Taiwan, and they settled here and formed their government here, a government in exile over the whole of mainland China. So that was what the idea was. So this is called in international terms presently, this is called People's Republic of China. So official name of China is PRC, People's Republic of China, and Taiwan calls itself ROC, Republic of China. So these are the two names, and one China policy means there are no two Chinas, there is only one China. There are no PRC and ROC, they should be all one only. So Taiwan should intend to getting integrated with mainland China, but Taiwan also there are assertions of independence being made. So that creates the difficulty for China. So this is regarding Taiwan, you can see. So that was 1921 to 34, Japan's rule of Taiwan, which was there. Finally, after it lost World War II, Japan's rule ended till 1945 actually. Then Japanese rule ended and China again controlled Taiwan, and Chinese Nationalist Party, Kuomintang, the old party, came to power in Taiwan, and it called itself Republic of China. And now this PRC and ROC, People's Republic of China versus Republic of China, is the dispute. So the China wants unification of ROC with the mainland, one China policy. Then this here you can see PRC and ROC. 1949 the split took place when the People's Revolution was taking place, and this government, former government Kuomintang, fled to Taiwan. In UN also I have discussed this earlier too, that the China seat which is there in UN was with this Kuomintang government actually. So they had fled to China and they continue to retain that UN seat. UN permanent member seat with veto power. So from 1949 to 1971, it was with Republic of China, Taiwan, that this seat was there. 1971, finally, China, People's Republic of China, took over that UN seat. So ROC claims for a seat but denied, so because it says there's only one China. So ROC said we should be given at least membership. So ROC is not even a member of UN till date. So that is the status presently. So US recognition, 1979, US recognized Taiwan. So Taiwan Relations Act is there. One China policy, countries which do not follow this and which recognize ROC as an independent country are listed here. You can see there are some small island nations and some nations which do recognize Taiwan, including US, because this was the communist capitalist Cold War time too. So because Taiwan was supported by USA. But Taiwan is very close to China and it depends a lot economically too on China. So the relations have to be maintained amicably. Then the next news item is help us export more to Pakistan, says Punjab. So Punjab wants central government to negotiate with Islamabad to boost exports to Pakistan through the land route. But the government says that this is not the right time because post the Uri attacks and the surgical strike, the exports have declined, trade has declined drastically, which is of course affecting Punjab because exports are more than imports and the trade balance of trade is in favor of India. But the government says that this is not the right time to take up this matter with Pakistan now because the relations are adverse. Punjab also says that it will not help in relations in trade with Pakistan only, but also the CIS, Commonwealth of Independent States. Trade with them would also be benefited. So this is Soviet Union. Soviet Union, erstwhile Soviet Union, was a group of countries, including Russia and other adjoining countries like even Tajikistan, Turkmenistan, Kazakhstan, Kyrgyzstan. All these were part of Soviet Union. So all these are part of a Commonwealth now, Commonwealth of Independent States. So UK Commonwealth is different. This is CIS, Commonwealth of Independent States, comprising of Soviet Union countries except the Baltic countries near the Baltic Sea. So those have become EU members too. Many of them like Latvia, Lithuania, Estonia, they are members of EU now. So of course they are not part, but former they were Soviet Union members. So others are there as CIS, Commonwealth of Independent States. So trade with them would also be benefited. So that is there. Trade balance with CIS is in favor of CIS. So India imports more from them because they are also oil producing countries. Then the next news item is removing the price block. So this is regarding the coronary stent. So this you can see is a tube shaped device which is placed in the arteries. We have discussed this in detail earlier too, how they are inserted and then they are expanded there so that they unclog the coronary arteries as such, and the plaque which is formed there is removed and does not develop later too. So these stents are needed to be regulated. So prices of stents have to be regulated. So need for stents is there and the prices has now been regulated. So this is the intervention by National Pharmaceutical Pricing Authority. So it is checking the irrational, restrictive and exorbitant prices of stents. We are seeing that this was a news we had discussed in which we saw that the prices of stents are multifolded. Means 500% times the actual price. So 500% means 5 times the price over here. Means the commission which is kept by doctors and by hospitals as well was quite high. So there's a need for regulation. So that is being looked into now. So MNC stent makers are there. These are the MNC multinational corporations which are manufacturing stent and their share in Indian market is 70%. Indian companies are quite few. So that is there. So this is the types of stents and the costs as such too. So this will be regulated. You can see by 1000% too. Sometimes it goes up to 1000%. So it goes beyond the reach of patients also sometimes. Very high margins are kept by hospitals. So this was a study done and now the stent prices would be regulated. So now NPPA has brought down a cap. Let's put a cap on the prices of these stents. There are two types of stents basically, bare metal stents and drug eluting stents. So these are only stents not having any covering or drug coating on them, the basic stents, and others are coated with a drug and they have a longer life too and they have these drugs also released. So earlier cost of these bare metal stents went up to 45,000. Now it has been capped at 7,260 by NPPA, National Pharmaceutical Pricing Authority. And for drug eluting also it went up to 1.2 lakh. Now it will be 29,600. So this is the price regulation brought in, which is a welcome step. Then the next news item is Cabinet approves contract awards for 44 small oil and gas fields. So this is Cabinet Committee on Economic Affairs, which has approved awarding contracts in 31 contract areas. These are small oil and gas fields. So these will be contracted out, and online bidding has been initiated. Even foreign companies have bid for it. So there are around 47 bids which have come in. 43 are Indian, even 4 bids are from foreign firms for these small oil and gas fields. So these were discovered by ONGC and OIL, but they were not developed because of the difficulties, like they were too small, the reserve size was small, they were in isolated locations, so development cost would go very high, technological constraints were there, so that is why they were not developed. So they have been found years ago, now they have been put for bidding, and the bidding results have come and they would be allocated. So this cabinet approval to this contract awards has come, so they will be allocated. So this will result in hydrocarbon generation, means oil will be produced from these small oil and gas fields. So this is since 15 years that they have been discovered but not put into effect. The development had not taken place, the oil was not generated from them. Now since after bidding, this will take place. The next news item is exports record positive growth for 5th consecutive month. So Indian goods exports have a positive growth for the 5th consecutive month, but because also in Jan 2016 there was a contraction. So 14.1% contraction in exports was witnessed in 2016. So this base is better. So compared to that, if you see the growth, so of course growth will be much more because it was less than normal. So reaching normal and then going beyond. So 4.32% increase which is seen is also a base effect is also seen in this. Means, like an example is, if in last year you scored 60 out of 100, right? And you targeted 90 out of 100. So how much percentage more did you score since last year? So if you compare last year's percentage more, you were targeting, normal would be everybody was scoring say 80 out of 100 was normal. So when 60 to 90 when you went, the average which was their normal scores of all children, average scores were around 80 out of 100. But last year your score was 60, and next year if you see, so normal is considered as 80. So if you see compared to last year, if your score has increased from 60 to 90, you will say, a drastic increase has occurred. But if you look from normal to next year, then it is only 10 marks increase that way. So that's what here also it is, that base effect comes when you compare with previous year. If previous year has been below normal, so contraction means less, exports had reduced. So that is why if contraction has taken place and you will compare with it, of course it will show much higher growth as such. That is there. Then imports in Japan imports in January have also increased. So even the trade deficit has increased. That is also there. Gold imports shrunk in January 2017. So this is the export status of India, and also one statement made about international exports growth. So it says that exports growth for China is going negative now. So since it has grown at such a fast pace, now the growth is decelerating. It is not positive anymore. The last news item is an ancient reptile that gave live birth. So this is regarding a reptile whose fossils have been found in Yunnan province in China. This is a female Dinocephalosaurus. So this is of the dinosaur group of the dinosaur family. So this is a dinosaur bird and crocodile family as it is called. So this belongs to this group, and it has a baby. Remains of a baby among the bones in her abdomen. So they have been discovered, means it was a giving live birth rather than laying eggs, because crocodiles, birds, dinosaurs generally laid eggs. So this is the unique discovery which has taken place, that it was giving live birth. So this is actually, live birth is associated with mammals. Mammals give live birth, and egg laying is the original primitive state of animals which is understood. But now this is a new discovery, and it was also this Dinocephalosaurus. This lived in the water, so it had fish catching abilities too, and it was not laying eggs, means it did not need to go to the land also to lay eggs. Just the way we see the sea turtles, olive ridley turtles, they come on the land shore to lay eggs. So that also results in predators, land predators affecting the eggs, and also taking consuming the eggs being destroyed. So all those concerns are also there when you lay eggs on the land, when marine species lay eggs on the land. But then in this case, since it was giving live birth, it did not go to the to the land as well too. So that was a positive aspect associated with it as well. And it has this unusually long neck. So that is the depiction which is shown, artist's reconstruction of this species. So that is it. These are the news items. Thank you.